This is Mike Dirks, the Regional Home Missionary Coordinator of the Presbytery of Ohio. And our September edition, we're going to be talking to Michelle Persing at Wilmington Reformed down in Wilmington, Ohio. So good morning, Michelle, and welcome.
Good morning.
And tell us a little bit about your background, how you got involved at Wilmington. I know you were part of that foundational family. So just kind of what spurred the desire to bring a church to Wilmington?
So I believe my husband and I were talking last night, and I think it was early 2018. We were worshiping at a church in Northern Kentucky, and it was a wonderful PCA church. We loved the pastor and the body, but it was becoming increasingly difficult to drive over an hour to church. And not only just to drive down there to worship, but we couldn't get involved in ministering to the community, inviting others to come to a local church. And our heart's desire became to have a body where we could be involved in our own community. And there were 8 to 10 other families attending down there that started to feel strongly the same way. Many young children in these families, that the drive was becoming a pull, and we wanted to have a church in our own community. So with our church's blessing down there, our pastor started to do some worship services up here on Sunday evening, and we started to explore the possibility. And as our families met and discussed things, Brad Peppo's name came coming up as someone we all knew. Several families had ties with him from a long time ago. We thought maybe he could help us. So we started to meet with him. And I know you were at some of those meetings to explore this possibility.
Great. So
it started up here.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. So what's happening right now, kind of in the life of Wilmington Reformed?
We are very excited that we have pursued particularization. So we have our own elders and deacons, along with some very gracious men from other OPC churches that are still coming to the session meetings and helping us out. We've voted on a constitution, and now we're trying to write out mission statements, vision statements, things like that. We did meet last night to formally start a search committee for a new pastor, and also looking over those mission and vision statements at a town hall meeting. So there's a lot going on, and we're excited about how we're pursuing formally moving forward. As far as what is going on, opportunities, I know that weekly we have obviously worship, we have adult Sunday school and 2 children's Sunday schools. Then monthly, there's a fellowship meal every month, and we're having town hall meetings for accountability and communication. There are also a ladies' book study twice monthly and a ladies' fellowship once a month that we're having. We all stay in touch via Mobilize. You often see posts about garden produce and all kinds of things that the members are very much in communication and staying in touch that way.
Good. So it sounds like you're building a good foundation of fellowship and interaction and that's wonderful. How are you reaching into Wilmington? It's a small farming community, got some deep roots, so it's a different reach than it would be in a big metropolitan like a Columbus, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. So tell us what's going on to meet that community.
Which excites us because this is where we live, and we want a church that we could invite someone that we just met at Kroger's where they're bagging our groceries. And I've been there, and we wanted a church that we could say, hey, come join us on Sunday, and really to reach out where we are. So pre-COVID, things look different than post-COVID, as I know many, many congregations are finding themselves in that position. So pre-COVID, we were involved in community parades at Christmas time and fall festivals. Our church actually had a team at the local Corn Olympics at the Corn Festival. And by the way, we did win that competition, which is a pretty big deal around here. But we were trying to get out with banners and signs just to tell people we're here, we're here. There is a Reformed church. We're in the local paper every week, our worship times. So we tried to do all we could to bring people in, or at least let know people there is a Reformed church and a presence here in Wilmington, Ohio. Now, through COVID, as many other churches found, we lost a good bit of members and people were hesitant to come out. So things changed a little bit. But one thing that happened for our church during COVID was another Baptist congregation found they also lost members, and they wanted to utilize their building. They didn't have enough members to sustain it. And that's a miraculous story how God gave us a building through COVID. We were actually meeting at a college, and we were told we could no longer meet there. That was just a couple weeks before COVID hit. So that was God's actually miraculous provision to kind of nudge us out of the college, because we would have been canceled from there through COVID. I think we only met 2 times in the local gym before we found out about this church that wanted someone to meet in their church. So we started meeting there with intents of meeting the members and transitioning. Well, COVID, the members did not want to do that, which we understood. And they literally just handed us the keys and said, please meet in our building. So that's been a place that we're right now maintaining and trying to update it to our use. We've used it for local community clothing giveaway that's been organized twice yearly to invite the community in to share resources. There have been some dances for young people there as we've tried to reach out to college kids, Cedarville kids on their breaks. We've been using it for graduation parties, birthday parties of members. And I will say people have seen us there because there are many, many young children and they play outside after church every Sunday. So it is a visible presence in the community and people are excited that the building is getting used again.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a godsend, bringing that building to your use.
Absolutely.
And the timing and all was just beautiful. And it's a great building. Yeah, there's a few updates need to be done, but it's fully functional, so we can thank the Lord for that.
And
So
the prior congregation is very grateful that we're there because they wanted to be good stewards. And that was so nice that transition went very well because they wanted it used. So it was an easy transition.
yeah, that was. So tell me, so if somebody from our presbytery came to Wilmington Reformed, what kind of experience would they have? What should they expect to have when they walk in those doors?
So when they walk in those doors, they would find a community of families that love to be together. And we love to fellowship. They would come in initially and there would be coffee available and someone greeting them. And as they came in, the very first thing they would do, which is a little different for our church, is we meet together and sing. I'm a little biased because my husband's in charge of the music, but I think it's a wonderful thing that we're learning to sing robustly and in parts. And that's been something on his heart, is that it shouldn't just be a worship leader with some people following along, but it should be worship and a robust singing to praise the Lord. So we do meet from babies on up to learn parts. We've been learning the doxology, the Gloria Patri, and some hymns. So we do a short time where we work on our different parts and the children sit together in sections, depending on what part they're singing. Then after that, we dismiss for Sunday school. So there, as I mentioned, there's adult Sunday school and two children Sunday school levels, and we do have nursery available. Then we come back together for corporate worship. And again, you'll find robust singing, and our preaching is different each Sunday because we have many different speakers coming in. After worship, you would find much fellowship. There's always food involved, and children love to play outside when the weather is right. There's a playground, and the families, some of them, one actually comes from over an hour, and because of that, we just like to be together. So we stay usually at least for an hour, if not two, enjoying each other's company and discussing everything that's going on around us. And what's often, though, I will say our body's different in that we do life together. A lot of people are working in different houses, so you'll find people during the week going to help each other out in these projects, with different resources, combining them. Like I said, garden produce, there's just a lot going on throughout the week of these communities as we fellowship and try to come together with joyful reverence. And that's something that you see as a lot of joy in the interaction with the fellowship and community that we're trying to build in Wilmington, Ohio.
There you go. Yeah, it's small town hospitality. I mean, I love coming down there, and it's just a joy to meet the folks. And you're right, they hang around for a long time and just fellowship and chat and get life together. So thank you.
It's a lovely community of believers, and we'd love to have visitors too. So
yeah. So how can the presbytery, how can the churches, the people watching this, how can they pray for Wilmington Reform?
We appreciate prayers, I would say, for faithfulness and wisdom as we pursue these foundational things and set up what is to be going forward with the vision statement and mission statement. So for our elders, for just wisdom and God to direct and lead. The two things I think you mentioned as examples in your question was a pastor and future growth. And those would be the things, obviously, that we would love for the Lord to do. But at the same time, we have had to be accepting of not having a pastor for a time. And like I said, we have a lot of people come together to serve and preserve the body through that, but we would love to have someone to be able to teach and lead us regularly and to help us organize, as well as we'd love for the Lord to bring more families. But at the same time, we have been content that that is something he must do, and we can't do. And that's something that's been very obvious, that small beginnings should not be despised and that the Lord needs to bring the growth. And we would love for him to bring a pastor. As I said, we've started a search committee, and we would love for that process to be very obvious who he would have to serve in this unique body.
Well, very good. And yeah, I think you guys are doing a good job of really getting a solid foundation, rushing into finding that pastor, but rather know your identity, express that identity, and then pursue the pastor. And in the meantime, the Lord can bring those in that community. It's a very unique community because Wilmington College is a friends, I guess is the current term for their
Yes, we actually met our
denominational
Sunday evenings in a
affiliation.
Quaker church building.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's got a different dynamic from metropolitan cities. So very good.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate your time. And
Thank you.
Lord willing, I'll be back down to visit you guys sometime in the near future.
We'd love to have you, and we appreciate all the help with the OPC and any prayers we're grateful for.